Ladies and gentlemen, Crown Jewel 2025 is officially in the books, and I know that many of you have clicked on this video in a pure panic, not realizing that you missed the entire show because it started at 8 a.m. Eastern. But welcome to my review of Crown Jewel 2025. We're going to go through every single match. I'm going to tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, did I agree with the booking decisions, and now we're going to talk about where storylines can go after this show as we go towards Survivor Series War Game. And of course, I'm going to ask you to leave in the comment section below your thoughts about every single match, and if you thought that WWE knocked it out of the park, or at least did they do better than WrestlePalooza. As always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I am incredibly confident that you are going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And I really do mean daily videos because we are nearly 2 weeks into my Japan trip and I have not missed a single day of daily uploads. I truly mean it. I'm in Osaka. I'm in my hotel room. It's almost 1 a.m. in the morning here in Japan, and I'm still delivering your goddamn daily videos because that's what I promised you. All right, that's enough. Let's jump into the review. Let's start things off by talking about Big Bronson Reed defeating Roman Reigns in an Australian street fight. Okay, so before we jump into my overall thoughts on this match and whether or not I like the booking decisions and where storylines are going to end up going, let me just take a quick moment to make fun about this entire concept of these themed street fights where they do city or country name street fight, because I still don't really know what the hell is an Australian street fight. There was barely anything Australian about this match. The only Australian themed thing was the fact that they used a couple of cheap looking Walmart ass looking cricket bats and a couple of AFL footballs that Roman Reigns tried to throw at his enemies, of which he missed all of them, by the way. What am I supposed to believe, that the other stuff was Australian? Maybe it was an Australian chair. Maybe they went through the Australian English announce table. Maybe that was actually Australian Braun Breaker that interfered. Maybe that was the Australian Usos. And it's just funny to think about with Paul Heyman's promo of hyping up this match, with it being so important to the lore of Bronson Reed, with Australian street fights being the reason as to why Bronson Reed gained notoriety and was signed to the WWE in the first place. So what, am I supposed to believe that prior to WWE, Bronson Reed was beating up people with cheap looking Walmart cricket bats and AFL footballs? No, it's stupid. If you're not going to lean in fully into these themed street fights, just do a regular street fight. Just do a false count anywhere. Just do no disqualification. Really, at the end of the day, I'm nitpicking because the lack of Australianness in this Australian street fight doesn't really impact anything for me at the end of the day. Because ultimately, I do think that this was a pretty solid match, a pretty solid opener with some pretty impactful storyline sequences that unfolded towards the end of the match. The most important thing to really highlight is the fact that Bronson Reed won, that Bronson Reed pinned Roman Reigns. Were there shenanigans? Were there interferences? Oh my God, dude, there were so many. This match was about 21 minutes long, and I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that about like 60% of this match was interferences. Either Braun Breaker or the Usos were out there for like the majority of this match. I think that Braun Breaker got more screen time in this match than Roman Reigns did. But it is to be expected. The fellas from the Vision and B&B Security have been heavily involved in this. Obviously, the Usos and the coming of age tale of Jey Uso potentially becoming the next tribal chief has all been part of this storyline going on between Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed. So I'm ultimately not surprised that there were as many interferences as there were. But like I said, Bronson Reed won. He pinned Roman Reigns. Very few people can say that. The last one that can say that properly in a singles match was Cody Rhodes. Before that, I don't even know who the hell did. So this does put Bronson Reed in elite company. Does this make Bronson Reed an elite guy? Well, I need to see more. I need to see what they do with this Bronson Reed win before I can truly buy into Bronson Reed being actually treated like an elite guy. Because yes, Bronson Reed did win, but it wasn't because of his amazing efforts. It was because of everything else that happened. It was because Jey Uso accidentally speared Roman Reigns through the table. table, which allowed for Bronson Reed to be able to pick up the victory on Roman Reigns. Which leaves much of the conversation about this match actually not being about Bronson Reed winning, but instead now is about what happened there with Jey Uso and Jimmy and Roman, with Roman kind of walking out on them saying, I don't want to see you guys till Christmas, which I think insinuates that they're no longer invited to family Thanksgiving, and I think they've now been uninvited from Roman Reigns' Halloween party as well. But then Jay also said, I'm out too. I don't know, maybe also like emulating Roman Reigns there. He left Jimmy Uso by himself, so maybe now we have a split of the Usos there. I'm not really sure. I had a hard time interpreting what happened there with the bloodline. Like, what am I supposed to feel there? I don't really know as of the making of this review. In terms of what's next for somebody like a Bronson Reed, I'm assuming that we're going to continue to build the vision towards War Games based on the results of tonight with Seth Rollins winning and Bronson Reed winning. I would not be surprised if maybe the next step between now and War Games, because there is a long time, is maybe to put the tag titles on Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker so that they can carry as much gold as possible, world title, crown jewel championship, tag titles going into War Games to make the Vision as scary and as formidable of a heel force as we possibly can. So my overall general thoughts is that it was a fun, chaotic match, albeit not Australian enough, but it still had enough of that street fight brutality to make it fun. We had as much interferences as you could have possibly wanted. We had Braun Breaker putting poor Jimmy Uso through a freaking barricade. That was a lot of fun. Like I said, there was fun brutality in this, maybe just not Australian brutality, but more than anything, the big talking points is Bronson Reed picking up a victory over Roman Reigns and pinning him, and everything that's going on there with the bloodline, which I still think is very murky and kind of tough to decipher where that's going to go. But then also the Vision looking strong here as we go towards Survivor Series War Games. Overall, I'll give it a thumbs up. I don't think it's this like unbelievably good match. I don't think that we're going to be talking about this match really beyond today. So I guess there's that. It's not going to be entirely that memorable, but still a fun opener nonetheless. Next up, we have the Women's Crown Jewel Championship match between the Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer taking on the WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton. And ladies and gentlemen, this was by far the shortest match of the night, actually clocking in at like half the time as the next shortest match, because this match went on for 10 minutes and 5 seconds. The next shortest match was 19 minutes and 55 seconds, so nearly half of the time of the next shortest match. And yet somehow, in the 10 minutes that we got, I thought that Stephanie Vaquer and Tiffany Stratton put on a wonderful showcase of professional wrestling. And the best part of all of this is that we got a definitive winner. There were no shenanigans. There was nothing to be left to interpretation. There was no ref bump. It was just, who is the better women's professional wrestler right now? Who is the better champion? And they ended up going with Stephanie Vaquer over Tiffany Stratton. And honestly, I love the decision. First and foremost, I have to give kudos to the actual match itself, because these two, in the short amount of time that they had wonderful chemistry with one another. My goodness, their timing with each other felt like they've been wrestling for years with one another. Now, of course, we know that Stephanie Vaquer is a veteran in this industry, but I have to be honest with you, Tiffany Stratton looked like a veteran herself in this match, going toe-to-toe, band for band with Stephanie Vaquer in this match. And I love the finishing sequence with Tiffany Stratton trying to hit her prettiest moonsault, Stephanie Vaquer moving last second and setting up immediately for her spiral tap and landing viciously on Tiffany Stratton's gut. It looked like a nasty fall, but she was able to pick up the victory with that. It looked like the landing was safe. It didn't look like it injured Tiffany or anything like that. It just looked brutal, but Stephanie's able to pick up the victory clean, and I think it is the perfect call. The reason why I think it's the correct decision is because Stephanie is a brand new champion. This was, as far as I know, her first televised singles match since winning the Women's World Championship at WrestlePalooza. If she goes out there in her first televised singles match as a Women's World Champion and loses, I think you start off the reign on such a bad note that it might be borderline impossible to say. Meanwhile, when I look at Tiffany Stratton, she's good. You know, she is undefeated undefeated in the year. She has been women's world champion for darn near a year at this point. A loss here would have done nothing to impact Tiffany Stratton's overall stock, but a loss to Stephanie Baker would have been detrimental. But a loss for Stephanie Baker for her would have been absolutely detrimental. So I think that WWE made absolutely the right call to go with Stephanie Baker and giving her the win here, because it's just an exhibition match at the end of the day. There aren't any championship implications. There's no storyline implications. It just is a fun match for the sake of having a fun match, and that's what they delivered here in the 10 minutes and 5 seconds that they were out there. I think this was a wonderful match. It gets a thumbs up. In terms of what's next, I don't think that I can really predict that off of the back of the result here, because there are no storylines that are attached to this. Perhaps maybe Stephanie Baker is part of the women's war games with all of the babyface, and Tiffany Stratton maybe continues on to have a feud with Julia. That's kind of the only thing that might be available for Tiffany Stratton at the moment. But again, the result of this match has absolutely no impact or any implications on any storylines moving forward. This really was an exhibition match, a very good one, a very fun one, and it gets a thumbs up. Next up, we have, oh baby, John Cena versus AJ Styles in a 27-minute classic. So one of the things that I said in the lead up to this match was that from a technical perspective, from what traditionally makes a good wrestling match, this never had a chance to be as good as the original trilogy of AJ Styles and John Cena. And I was okay with that. I thought that they were going to lean into fan service, into callbacks of the past to help elevate that match. Here's the thing. They didn't just rely on a couple of callbacks from the past. This match was pretty much entirely callbacks. This match was purely designed to be fan service, and I loved every waking second of this match. We're now like 20 minutes since Crown Jewel ended. I wish this match was still going on. I'm going to tell you right now, before I dive deeper into the match, this is my new favorite match of the year. Now, I want to clarify that favorite does not mean that I think that this is the best match of the year. I think that there are fundamentally better in-ring matches that WWE has put on, but in terms of just eliciting your joy and emotion, I was literally smiling from ear to ear in this match. I was tearing up. I had goosebumps throughout this match. I don't think that I can say a match this year has elicited the same wide range of emotions that this match was able to generate. And yes, it was all fan service. It's interesting to call this match a love letter to professional wrestling fans, because the match started with what I thought was a literal love letter from John Cena to AJ Styles, handing a note to Alicia, the ring announcer, so that she can give a special homage ring announcer call for AJ Styles, calling him the face that runs the place, referencing TNA, the absolute leader of the Bullet Club, which references his time in the Bullet Club in New Japan. So John Cena giving AJ Styles that platform to be able to soak in all of the accolades and all of the work that he has done outside of the WWE with that ring announcement was absolutely beautiful. Not to mention the fact that AJ Styles came out in his TNA gear as well, which was awesome. So not only was it a physical, literal love letter from John Cena to AJ Styles, but this match was a love letter to wrestling fans themselves. The more that you've watched professional wrestling over the past 20 years, the more that this match was for you. This was designed to reward me, to reward you, the people watching this video, for being a longtime wrestling fans. Because in nowadays, and I'm not surprised by this, matches aren't catered to the super mega hardcore wrestling fans. They are catered to the wide audience. They are catered to the TV audience. They're catered to the people live in attendance. It's very rare that WWE targets something to the hardcore wrestling nerds, and that's what this match was. This match was a love letter to you, to me, and to every single year that you've put in watching WWE. Like I said in the lead up of this match, I thought that this match was going to have some callbacks. It had a tremendous amount of callbacks, and now we're going to go over the list of callbacks that we had in this match. So the first callback was a callback to their match at Royal Rumble, where Cena became the 16-time world champion, where they didn't leave the ring once in that match. Just like in this match, there was not a single moment that these two were on the outside. Every single second of this match took place in the ring, like that Royal Rumble 2017 match. Now, of course, the callbacks and all of the fan service came in the way of both of these guys hitting moves from people from their past, with John Cena doing pretty much entirely moves from some of his foes in WWE, and AJ Styles doing a bunch of moves from foes in his time in TNA. Because we had AJ Styles doing homages to Sting with the Scorpion Death Drop. We had John Cena doing the Miz's Skull Crushing Finale, Rusev's Accolade. We had AJ Styles doing Samoa Joe's Coquina Clutch. Chris Jericho's Walls of Jericho was in this match. John Cena hit an absolutely gorgeous Sister Abigail, which triggered the entire audience in Perth to pull out the fireflies. And John Cena even delivered the kiss to the forehead right before he hit the Sister Abigail. John Cena hit Randy Orton's signature DDT, right down to doing all of the facial mannerisms and then hitting an RKO, coiling up like the Viper. We had AJ Styles doing Christopher Daniels' Angel Wings, Frankie Kazarian's Fade to Black, which is currently being used in AEW by Hangman Adam Page as the Deadeye. We had Shawn Michaels Sweet Chin Music. We had an Undertaker Tombstone. We had a Kane Choke Slam. Dude, it was brilliant. We even had a tease of John Cena potentially doing a 619. I was geeking out throughout this entire match, and so were the thousands of people that woke up early in the morning to watch this show with me while I'm in Japan late at night. We were absolutely over the moon with happiness, with smiles in this community as we watch what I just thought was such an unbelievably fun love letter to professional wrestling. The only complaint that I have, and I'm telling you this is the only thing that I have to even whine and bitch about, was that this would have been somehow much better if it was for the Intercontinental Championship. I still think that AJ Styles should have won the IC Championship at Clash in Paris and taken that momentum into this match to make John Cena the Grand Slam champion. That is the only thing that I have to whine and to complain about, because aside from that, what we witnessed was, again, my favorite match of the year. Now, from like a technical perspective, like, are people going to say that this is some sort of technical marvel? No, it certainly isn't that. It really is just cheap pop after cheap pop after cheap pop after cheap pop. But damn it, those pops accumulated and it delivered an incredibly memorable affair. I love this match. This is a thumbs up in every single regard. Now, after the match, we didn't have any setup for anything. It really was just, hey, we're both here. We're both going to have a match. Once it's over, we're out of here, because we don't know who John Cena's next opponent is going to be. I presume it's probably just going to get announced on social media like this match did. And for AJ Styles, I'm assuming he's right back down to the mid card to go hang out with Dragon Lee and feud with a bunch of dudes cosplaying as American luchador. Anyways, this match, dude, I don't have enough thumbs to give. Like, I wish I had like radioactive hands so that all of my fingers were thumbs. Next up, we had the women's tag match between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley taking on the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. All right, here is my immediate thoughts on this match. This match was great. Like, I really thought it was a fantastic tag match, but the energy in the building was sapped out. The energy of the people watching the stream absolutely sapped out, because we sat through what was a huge roller coaster of emotions, and that was John Cena versus AJ Styles. So having to follow this up was always going to be a very, very difficult task for these ladies. And I think they did the best that they could to try and win the crowd and and bring the energy back into the building, but it was always going to be an uphill battle. The match went on for about 20 minutes. I would say that this was maybe 5 minutes, a little bit too long, because a huge chunk of this match was Io Sky getting worked by the Kabuki Warriors, and of course, we're waiting for the big hot tag to Rhea Ripley. I feel like they could have cut some time from that so that we didn't have this big lull period of Io Sky just absolutely getting her ass whooped for so long, so that we can maybe use the electricity of the hot tag to win this crowd back faster into the match. But I do think that is nitpicking, because at the end of the day, we had 4 women out there that put on an absolute heater of a match. Wonderful chemistry between all of them. Kairi Sane, to me, was the MVP of this match, selling her ass off for everybody, making everyone's moveset look absolutely deadly. I thought that Asuka looked like a great ring general out there. Rhea Ripley, I thought that she was brilliant in this match. She maybe because she's so much bigger than everyone else in this match, but she just looked powerful out there. Her moves, her kicks, her punches, her headbutts, her slams just felt like they had significantly more oomph behind them in this match. And of course, Io Sky can have a great wrestling match with a freaking electric eel at this point. So there's no real feedback that I have about Io Sky aside from the fact that she's amazing. I like the finish of the match as well, with Kairi Sane kind of eating the pin to protect Asuka. She pushes Asuka out of the way, and it takes the hit there and the brunt of the damage from Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley pushes her back into the ring, hits her with a big riptide to set up for Io Sky's moonsault. Io Sky is able to pin Kairi Sane, and I'm sure we're going to continue on with this feud here. My assumption is that the storyline will continue in that Asuka will be more and more abusive towards Kairi Sane, because Kairi took the L here, even though Kairi saved Asuka. And who knows, maybe the storyline will kind of dive into Io Sky trying to save Kairi from a tyrannical Asuka. I'm not really sure. I'm not surprised that Rhea Ripley and Io Sky won, but I am confused in terms of what the plan is here for women's War Games, because I thought that the principal nucleus of the heel team was going to be the Kabuki Warriors for the women's Survivor Series War Games match, but now I'm not so sure, because why do this grouping of babyfaces need to come together to take out these heels if these heels have already lost clean to Io Sky and Rhea Ripley? So I'm going to need to see how this unravels on Monday Night Raw for me to really begin to understand how War Games is going to shape out, because right now I'm not really sure. Had the Kabuki Warriors won, I would be pretty confident in terms of where we're going, but with them losing, with Kairi taking the L, I don't really know what the next step is for really the majority of the women in this match. The only one that I'm pretty confident that I can see having some progression is Kairi Sane, with her, again, continuing to take the brunt of the abuse for taking the loss here. So overall, I am going to give this match a thumbs up. Like I said, I would have cut maybe 4 to 5 minutes away from this match to make it more adrenaline filled, so that they could win the crowd back after being exhausted from AJ Styles and John Cena. But there's really nothing to dislike about this match. It gets a thumbs up from me. The only thing that I'm questioning is, what's the play moving forward from this? I don't really see a play, but maybe there is something here that I'm not seeing. And the main event was the men's crown jewel match between Seth Rollins as the World Heavyweight Champion and Cody Rhodes as the WWE Undisputed Champion. I'm going to immediately come out and say that I love this match. I thought that this match was fantastic. Out of the 4 matches now that we've gotten between Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, I think that this is their second best match. I think it's better than their match at WrestleMania. I think it's better than their match at WrestleMania Backlash. The only match that I think is better than this is the Hell in a Cell match with Cody Rhodes having the torn pectoral. But this match here, I thought was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was brilliant from an in-ring perspective, because it really was a wonderful match with some absolutely banana spots, like Seth Rollins doing a coast-to-coast headbutt that looked like he might have maybe dislocated his shoulder, but at this point, I am done believing Seth Rollins' injuries. I will not be fooled again. I'm going to assume that I'm being worked and that everything is a work after what happened at SummerSlam. But then we also had an absolutely nutty top rope crossroads that Seth Rollins kicks out of, which is an actually insane thing to say out loud. But as much as this match had those big high spots, like even Cody Rhodes doing some awesome, beautiful multiple Cody cutters from the top rope. There was an awesome moment where Seth countered a Cody cutter into a sit-down powerbomb. Yes, this match had all of the flashy moves, a bunch of oohs and ahs, but to me, where it wins me over was the narrative that was being told between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, of Seth Rollins just not being good enough to beat Cody Rhodes, especially in the first like 12 minutes of the match. He's getting absolutely cooked, absolutely dummied by Cody Rhodes, and it isn't towards the end where Seth Rollins is able to even out the odds, but he's simply just not able to beat him clean because he needed to cheat. At one point in the match, he goes to grab the watch to use it as brass knucks. He changes his mind, but then later in the match, he's about to lose. He's about to take an L, and then changes his mind about the watch, grabs the watch, and in a moment where the ref took a slight bump, he hits Cody Rhodes over the head with it, and hits a stomp, and then hits a super stomp to pick up the victory. So it obviously like continues the narrative of Seth Rollins is just simply not good enough to beat Cody Rhodes clean on his own, mano a mano, one-on-one, but he was able to be definitive enough to save himself from any wrath of the Vision, to save himself from any sort of double crossing from Paul Heyman here, because even though he wasn't able to win clean, he was able to win on his own without the involvement of anybody tonight. And Seth winning here was absolutely the correct call, especially if the Vision is going to be the principal evil force at War Games. He couldn't lose here. He absolutely needed to win, and it was with just the right amount of shenanigans where it didn't get over the top, with just around the right amount of shenanigans so that people didn't need to get involved. It was just a moment of, I guess you could say, genius from Seth Rollins to be able to pick up the victory. He outsmarted Cody Rhodes and was able to outmaneuver Cody Rhodes by cheating, as opposed to actually just being able to beat him clean. But yeah, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, I thought that this was an absolutely fantastic match. Their chemistry continues to just be absolutely top notch. Like I said, I think that this is the second best out of their 4 matches, and that's saying a lot because all 4 of their matches have been, in my eyes, fantastic. In terms of what's next for Cody Rhodes, I don't know. Maybe Randy Orton, maybe continuing what they teased on SmackDown with Jacob Fatu. That would be very interesting because that would be something new that WWE hasn't really touched on. And in terms of Seth Rollins, I presume it's to continue feuding forever with CM Punk, most likely, but also probably gearing up to be the leader of the heels for Men's War Game. But yeah, this match gets a thumbs up. It's nearly 30 minutes. It's an amazing match. Still, even though I think this is the best match of the night, it's not my favorite match of the night. That still goes to AJ Styles versus John Cena, a match that took me through all of my emotions. It took me back to being like an 8-year-old kid geeking out about professional wrestling. Anyways, I thought that this show was very solid from like the ground up. Like everything about this show, every single match delivered in a way that it needed to deliver. There wasn't anything bad about this show. It certainly didn't have the lows of WrestlePalooza. This was certainly a big improvement on WrestlePalooza. So Crown Jewel 2025 gets a thumbs up from me. I'm going to bed now. It's really late. I just needed to yap and get on here, record, and talk about my thoughts. I was probably pretty incoherent because I am pretty tired, but either way, whatever. Goodbye. Get out of here.